You're posting every day, you're showing up in stories, batching reels, running the free masterclass, refreshing your sales page at midnight, and the money in your spiritual business looks almost exactly as it did a year ago. Today I want to show you why, and I promise you the answer has very little to do with how hard you are working, how good your magic is, or how many followers you have. By the end of this video, you will know how to find the one place where your business is actually stuck right now, because your business may have a dozen problems, but it usually has one that is setting the pace for all the rest. Welcome back. I am Zela Feraco, a witch with a PhD in the life sciences, and before I built the Nightshade Sanctum into my full-time work, I spent years in management consulting. My job was to walk into businesses that were stuck, businesses far bigger and messier than yours, and find the exact point where everything was jammed up. And here's what that experience taught me. Businesses almost never fail because the people running them lack talent. They fail because nobody ever taught those people how to think strategically about their own work. And that is doubly true in the spiritual space, where most of us came to this through a devotional path or a spiritual practice, and the business grew up around the craft like ivy around a tree. Beautiful, organic, and completely unplanned. So today I'm going to give you the same diagnostic process I would use with a consulting client, translated for a spiritual business. And this is the first video in a whole series on running a spiritual business strategically. So if that is you, subscribe now, because everything that follows builds on today. Get comfortable. This one is well worth it. Let me start with a pattern I see everywhere in this space. A business slows down and the owner's first instinct is to do more. More posts, more reels, maybe a new offer, because surely the problem is that people want something she hasn't made yet. Maybe a rebrand, new fonts, new photos, maybe a discount or a sale. This is the business equivalent of watching a plant turn yellow and deciding to water it more. Because sometimes the plant is thirsty, yes, but sometimes the roots are bound, sometimes the soil is spent, sometimes it needs sun, and no amount of water will ever substitute for sun. Watering harder feels productive, but it can also drown the very thing you love. In consulting, this is considered treating the symptoms instead of the root causes, and it is the single most expensive habit a small business owner can have. Expensive in money and expensive in the thing that you can never truly buy back, which is your time and your money. Here's the uncomfortable truth underneath it all. Activity and progress feel identical on the inside. Both tend to keep you busy, both give you something to point at the end of the week, but only one of them is going to bring you any money. So before you create one more piece of content or build one more course, I want you to sit with a question that sounds simple and yet rarely is. What is actually stopping the money right now more than anything else? Because there is a well-tested answer to how businesses get stuck, and it changed the way that I look at every business I meet. Let me show you. One of the most valuable ideas I got from management consulting comes from operations management. It is called the theory of constraints, developed by Eliyahu Goldratt, and it's completely changed how I diagnose businesses. The premise is simple. A business can have multiple problems at once. It could be weak messaging, tired branding, underpriced offers, inconsistent posting, but at any given moment, there is usually one constraint limiting growth more than anything else. Businesses rarely get stuck because everything is broken. They get stuck because one part of the system is then setting the pace for everything else. Think of your business like a river. The money is the water, and that river might run wide and easy for most of its length, but then if there's one narrow gorge or one fallen tree across the channel, then the whole river moves at that pace, the pace of the single point. You can pour effort in upstream all you like. The flow stays the same until you clear that one place where it's catching. And this is why the practice of doing more so rarely works. If your narrowest point is trust, then more traffic just means more strangers bouncing off a page that fails to convince them to buy anything. If your narrowest point is your offer, then better reels just advertise something people have already decided that they don't actually want. You are widening parts of the river that were already wide. That's not going to get you anywhere. And the flip side is where this gets exciting. When you find the one real constraint and clear it, then everything you've already built starts flowing at once. All of those posts, all that audience, all that goodwill you've been layering for years suddenly has somewhere to go. And this is why only one well-aimed fix can outperform a year of grinding. One more teaching from this, because I want to be honest with you about how this goes. Once you clear a constraint, another one will eventually surface further along the river. That's absolutely normal, and it's actually good news. It means growing a business is actually a rhythm of finding the current bottleneck and clearing it season after season, rather than trying to fix everything everywhere all at once. So the whole game is actually about diagnosis. Find the one narrow point. That is the key to everything. Quickly, before we go looking for your business constraint, if this way of thinking is already shifting something in you, hit the like button. It takes a second and it genuinely tells YouTube to put this in front of more spiritual business owners who need it. Right, let me show you where to look. The theory of constraints tells us to find the bottleneck. Now, over the years, I have adapted that principle into 6 places I tend to audit first whenever I look at a new spiritual business. I call them the 6 gates, and I want you to walk through them with me in order and answer honestly. The order matters because each gate assumes that the ones before it are open. And the first gate is traffic. Are enough people finding you at all? Honest numbers here. If fewer than a few hundred new humans encounter your work in a month across everything, then this may genuinely be your gate or your constraint. But I want to say this clearly. In 10 years of looking at businesses like yours, traffic is the gate people blame the most, and it's the one that is actually closed the least. If you have an audience of 1,000 or more and no consistent sales, then your problem actually lives deeper in. So we can begin now by asking yourself, how many new people found me last month? And do I even know? That is step 1 at gate 1. Now, the second gate is trust. This is when people find you, but do they believe you? Trust in this space is built from specificity and evidence. So testimonials, results, depth of knowledge on display, and consistency over time. A spiritual business without trust signals reads as either a hobby or a hazard, and clients can smell both. To check this, ask yourself, if a stranger landed on my page today, what proof would they have in 30 seconds that I am real, serious, and safe to buy from? Now, gate 3 is your offer. Do you sell something that people actually actively want? And this is the key, framed as the outcome that they are trying to create. Because the biggest mistake that I see constantly is people selling the process or the tools instead of the destination. There's actually an old marketing lesson that says people don't buy the drill, and they don't even buy the hole in the wall. They buy the picture hanging on the wall. And in a spiritual space, most of us are out there selling drills. So things like yoga classes or tarot or breath work or Reiki or shadow work or spell work or astrology or coaching. But those are actually all tools. They are the drill. Nobody wakes up one morning wanting 6 modules and a workbook. And very few people wake up wanting Reiki alone for Reiki's sake, or tarot, or a spell, or a coaching package. They want what they believe that tool will help them create. So that means that they wake up wanting to sleep through the night, or they want to finally leave the relationship that they've been stuck in for 3 years, or they want to double their income in their business. They want to stop panicking every time they open their banking app. They want to cross the finish line of the half marathon. They want to get pregnant, or they want to walk into a room without feeling small or insecure. They want to feel like themselves after burnout. So do you see that it has to do with the transformation? What is the transformation and the benefit that you're selling? Not the tools and not the journey itself. People don't want shadow work. They want to know what the shadow work is going to change in their life. What is the tangible thing that they're going to feel, experience, or receive upon working with you? So your modality is the vehicle, and the destination is what they are buying. And beneath every concrete outcome sits an identity shift. Someone doesn't just want a $10,000 month. They want to become the kind of business owner who knows how to create those months consistently. Someone doesn't just want a tarot reading. They want certainty in a season where everything feels uncertain. Someone doesn't just want Reiki. They want to become someone whose nervous system finally feels safe enough to rest. Nobody just buys a spell because they love spell work. They buy a spell because they hope that tomorrow will look different from today. So ask yourself, does my offer or my sales page or the content I'm creating describe the tools that I use or the destination my client reaches and the person they become on the way there? Now, the fourth gate is pricing. Price is so much more than a number because it's actually a signal that your clients receive a whole lot of information from before you even open your mouth. If your prices are higher than the trust that you've built, people won't buy because the risk feels too great. If your prices are dramatically lower than the transformation you promise, then people will start asking themselves, why is this so cheap? So in both cases, the sale stalls, but it's for completely different reasons. Your pricing is part of your positioning. It tells a story about your work before you ever say a word. So to check this, ask yourself, what story does my price tell about the value of this work? Now, gate 5 is conversion. This is where people find you and they trust you. They want the thing. They can afford the thing, but can they actually buy it without friction? I've watched businesses lose thousands of dollars because of a confusing website or a broken link, a sales page with no clear next step, a DM to book that then goes unanswered for 3 days. Now, every point of friction is a place where the current is going to pool. Remember that river, the current will pool and then stagnate there. So to check this, ask yourself, have I personally walked through my own buying process this month from start to finish as if I were a stranger? That is alone going to tell you a lot. The sixth gate is retention, and this is the gate almost everyone forgets, and it's where the real wealth lives. What happens after someone buys? Do they hear from you again? Is there a next step, a deeper offer, a reason to stay in your world? A business that has to find a brand new customer for every single sale is a garden where you rip out every plant at the first harvest and start again from seed. The single most profitable thing in your entire business is a person who has already bought from you and had a beautiful experience. To check this, ask yourself, what percentage of my revenue this year came from returning clients? And if the answer is nearly none, then this gate is worth taking a long look at. 6 gates: traffic, trust, offer, pricing, conversion, and retention. Somewhere in that sequence is a gate that is closed for you, and I would wager it is the one that you have been walking straight past on your way to posting more content or creating new offers. In fact, pause right here and tell me in the comments which of these 6 made your stomach drop a little. That one, that is usually your gate, and I will read every comment I can and answer as many as I can. Now, how do you find the constraint in your business? I'll share 2 tools from the consulting world with you now, both for free. And the first one is to actually follow the numbers, because the numbers know, and you only need a handful. The first one, how many new people found you last month? 2, how many joined your email list? 3, how many bought? 4, how much the average sale was? And 5, how many buyers were returning clients? That is just 5 numbers. Check each one of them, and where the numbers fall off a cliff, that is the neighborhood of your constraint. If 1,000 people visited your website and only 3 joined your email list, then your problem will lie around the trust or the offer. If 300 people joined your list but nobody bought, look at your offer, your pricing, your conversion. Your second free tool is called the 5 whys, and it is one of the simplest root cause analysis techniques that you will ever use, and it is remarkably effective because the first answer is almost never the real problem. Most people stop digging after the first why, but consultants keep going. Watch how it works. Sales are down. Why? Because fewer people are buying my tarot readings. Why? Because fewer people are inquiring. Why? Because fewer people are clicking through from Instagram. Why? Because my recent content has been educational, but it never actually tells people what I offer. Why? Because somewhere along the way, I became uncomfortable selling, and so I quietly stopped including calls to action. Notice what happened there. We started with sales are down, which is a symptom, and 5 whys later, we arrived at a hidden cause that was entirely within your control and a simple fix, actually. The root cause was never Instagram. It was never the algorithm, and it was never the economy. You had unintentionally stopped inviting people to become clients. That is the point of the 5 whys. You keep asking why until you reach something you can actually change. So, diagnosis before treatment, always, because if you solve the wrong problem, you will work twice as hard for half the results. If you want to run this diagnosis properly on your own business, I have built you a free self-audit. It walks you through all 6 gates with the exact questions I would ask if you were sitting across from me as a client, and it will show you your constraint in about 20 minutes. The link is right below this video in the description, and I have pinned it in the comments as well. Sign up and it lands straight in your inbox. And while you're down there, if you haven't yet, tell me in the comments which gate you suspect is closed for you, and hit a like if this video earned it. For those of you who already know you want my eyes directly on your business, the deeper work I do with spiritual business owners happens inside a private mentorship called the Obsidian Throne, and the way in begins with a short application and a complimentary 45-minute call where I will run this exact diagnosis with you live on your business. The application is linked below. Next week, I'm taking you inside the full audit process itself, the exact one I used on businesses worth millions. Section by section, subscribe and tap the bell so that you're here for it, because these videos all build on each other. Until then, stop watering the plants and check the roots.